The Miami Dolphins were one of the NFL's most inconsistent teams this season, but for good reason. They had some extremely high moments and some extremely low moments. But as far as quieting the noise around whether Tua was a top quarterback in this league, or if Tyreek Hill would be the same player without Patrick Mahomes, they certainly ended all of that talk. And say what you want about Tua Tagovailoa, but one thing is for certain, the 2022 season was about proving himself, and Tua did just that. Although we know Tua walked away with not one but two concussions this season, when he was on the field, he was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, and the Miami Dolphins were arguably the best team in the NFL when Tua was healthy. The Dolphins finished this season with a 9-8 record, but they were 8-5 with Tua as a starter, and he was on another level this season. He registered a career-high 105.5 passing rating, 8.9 yards per attempt, and a 6.3 touchdown percentage. And the Miami Dolphins started out 3-0 this season, and they were clicking on all cylinders. Up until week 4, that is, and that's when Tua suffered his first concussion of the year. Tua returned 3 games later and picked up right where he left off, leading the Dolphins to a 5-game win streak and showing true MVP flashes. But you know what they say, what goes up must come down. And the Dolphins went on another streak, but by this time losing 5 straight, and Tua suffered his second concussion of the season in game 3 of that losing streak. Tua was shut down for the year after that, and his season ended early. But make no mistakes, Tua was amazing this season when he was on the field, finishing with a 64.8 completion percentage, finishing 20th this season, 3,548 yards, finishing 12th this season, 8.9 yards per attempt, which led the NFL, 273 yards per game, finishing 5th this season, 25 touchdowns, a 68.5 QBR, which was good enough for 3rd in the NFL this year, and a 105.5 passer rating, which was good enough for 1st in the NFL this season. Yeah, I know that's a lot of stats, but as you can see, Tua finished top 5 in 4 categories this season. And some people could argue his numbers are inflated since he did miss 4 games this year, and it didn't allow for more incompletions or more interceptions. And on the flip side, Dolphin fans will tell you, look at how good his numbers were with only 13 games. Imagine if he played 4 more games, his numbers would have been amazing. Now, when Tua was on the field, he certainly backed up Tyreek Hill's statements about being the most accurate passer in the NFL. And if you don't believe me, let's just cut on the tape. Here on this 5-step drop, Tua comes to the top of his drop and lets the ball go to Mike Gesicki with 3 Ravens in the area. He puts this ball where only the 6'6" tight end can get it, or here on this throw right outside of the red zone, Tua drops back and sees the slightest bit of an opening and rifles it in between 3 defenders for the touchdown. I mean, watching the tape, and some of these throws are just ridiculous by Tua. Like this one here, putting the perfect touch on the ball to get it over the outstretched hands of the linebacker and dropping it right in front of the safety for the completion in the middle of the zone. And if we take a look at this graph, this shows how many quarterbacks benefited from yards after catch. You can see Tua finished dead last in the NFL in that category, meaning his receivers didn't need to do much running when they caught the pass because it was either a dot in between defenders and they were being tackled immediately, or they were touchdowns. Either one is a win-win for Tua in this offense, but a quarterback is only as good as his weapons, and the Dolphins added one of the best weapons in the entire NFL this season. Tyreek Hill splashed onto the scene and might have had the best season of his career, ending all the doubts about if he could still be great without Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. The Dolphins are a very pass-heavy team, and that'll only work if you have great receivers who can produce big numbers. And in this season, Tyreek Hill did just that. He finished this season with 119 catches, which was a career high, 1,740 yards, which was also a career high, and just 7 touchdowns. He also broke the Miami Dolphins single season receiving yard record. He was the first player this season to reach 1,000 yards, and he hit that mark in week 9. And last but not least, he became the first player in NFL history to have at least 10 catches and 150 receiving yards in 3 out of the team's first 6 games. And again, I know that's a lot of stats, but I just want to show you how truly dominant Tyreek Hill was this season. And only 4 opponents were able to hold him under 100 yards, while 5 teams seen him go over 160 receiving yards. But an area Tyreek Hill really excelled in this season was his ability to go up and make contested catches. Like here against the Patriots to open up the season with a contested one-hander, or even on this throw from Teddy Bridgewater where he had to maintain his focus to even bobble this ball around and still secure it even with the defender draped all over him. And he made numerous plays just like that. Just like here on what should have been a touchdown, Tua underthrows him, and he essentially saves Tua from an interception and goes up over 2 defenders to make the catch. His ability to make tough catches really unlocked the potential of this offense. With the mixture of Tua's pinpoint accuracy and the ability of Tyreek Hill to go up and make any catch, it set this offense on a crazy trajectory. But the other factor that made this offense unstoppable was Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle was the #1 option last season, but with Tyreek Hill coming in, he easily was moved to wide receiver 2. But the name of the game is just being a star in your role, and Waddle did just that. He finished this season with 75 receptions for 1,356 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. And fresh off of his 1,000-yard rookie campaign, where he set the rookie record for receptions with 104, he then went on to finish this season with the 3rd most yards in Dolphins history. Jaylen Waddle also became the 13th player in NFL history with 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 2 seasons in the NFL, and his yards per catch nearly doubled as it went from 9.8 to 18.1, which led the NFL this season. And it's worth noting that his yardage increased by 341 yards, and that's despite him having 29 fewer catches than he did last season. So he was more efficient on less catches. And he had 10 receptions of 30 yards or more and 21 receptions of 20 yards or more. And much like Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle is a threat to take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. The only thing Waddle needed to improve on this season is that he only finished with 7 touchdowns. But on the positive side, him and Tyreek Hill became the first duo in the NFL to reach 3,000 yards combined. The Blur Brothers, as they call it, have also combined for 1,688 yards, which is the most in the NFL history through the first 8 weeks of the season. And yeah, these 3 players have the numbers to prove that the Dolphins can be a top offense in the NFL, but without health, they're nothing. And with them reaching the postseason for the first time since 2016 last year, all signs are pointing forward for the Miami Dolphins. With the healthy Tua and Tyreek being in the system for a 2nd year, the Dolphins are out for blood. And if you enjoyed this video over Miami's Big 3, be sure to let me know if you'd like to see a full team breakdown, and especially the acquiring of Jalen Ramsey, and check out my video over another top quarterback in the AFC, Justin Herbert. Peace.